I decided to lock my first ever Ultimate Ironman to Varlamore to explore everything RuneScape's newest region has to offer, with the ultimate goal, equipping a Dazani's quiver. This is Savanna UIM. Hello everyone, welcome back. So, in the previous episode, we made it to level 50 thieving, and I kinda sat here AFK while I was editing the video and got all the way up to 62 with 147 keys. And look at that cash stack, 242k. So I'm actually gonna drop these. I've had these in my inventory for so long, don't need them anymore. So we're actually just gonna go ahead and use up these keys. So we can actually, oh, this guy's going back to his house. We can actually sneak into these people's houses and steal all their shit. And that's what we're gonna do for these 147 keys. You also notice I do have a lamp in my inventory, which is a perfect opportunity to talk about some things that was brought up briefly in the previous episode. As stated, the completion of the quest Perilous Moons is required if we are to advance the account and just have a shot at the Colosseum. This quest is required to gain access to Camtorum, which holds a variety of useful shops and training methods, not to mention the Moons of Peril, which hold our best in slot melee and mage gear. Now, I might have slightly underestimated the skilling requirements to complete this quest, as most of them hold a small road bump in order to train them. So let's talk about it. In order to even start this quest, we need 48 Slayer, 20 Hunter, 20 Fishing, 20 Rune Crafting, and 10 Construction. We will start with the easiest skill to train, and that is Fishing. There are a variety of ways to train fishing in Varlamore, even with access to a fishing shop on Sunset Coast, so no issues there. But these next skills have some problems that we need to overcome. For construction, the only way to train construction is to have a saw in your inventory, as everything in that skill requires it. And even though there's an estate agent in Varlamore, there is no saw spawn. And the only way to get a saw at level 1 is to pick one up in Varrock. Now at level 5, we can create Tool Store 1, which gives us access to a variety of basic tools, including a hammer and saw. In order to actually begin training, however, we will need to make an exception to pick one up until we train to level 5. Next is Rune Crafting. Just like fishing, we can train Rune Crafting in Varlamore. But unlike fishing, we can't begin that training until level 30, which is already 10 over the required amount for the quest. So I made the decision that if I can obtain the required supplies to get to 20 Rune Crafting in Varlamore, I will make the exception to train it outside of my region. Now we have 20 Hunter. You would think, with Varlamore being the home of the Hunter Guild, and have a plethora way of training this skill, this should be one of the easiest to complete. All we have to do is head over to the Hunter shop and buy a... Oh, right. So, in order to access the Hunter shop, which has all of our hunting supplies, we need to already have 48 Hunter. Without these supplies, there is no way to actually train the skill, so we will have to make an exception in leaving our region in order to pick up one bird snare, which can be used to train with until I can access the guild shop. While we are on the topic of Hunter, I am going to allow myself to use a Puro, since it can be gotten into through Varlamore. We will talk more on that as it becomes relevant to the account. Lastly, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Slayer. As I stated in the last video, the only way to train that skill in Varlamore is through lamps, as there is no Slayer master or reliable way of training this skill. This point still stands, mostly. I will allow myself to receive tasks from Turiel, the beginner Slayer master, and I can do the tasks as long as the mobs can be killed in Varlamore. This includes bears, birds, rats, spiders, and wolves. As soon as I get a task I cannot complete, Slayer is locked out for me, and the only way to further advance the skill is through lamps. I make this exception as it should help the early game lamping and it doesn't feel too game breaking for the account, as I'll still have to complete the tasks in Varlamore, and who knows, the first task he gives me I might not even be able to do. Now that I've laid out all the exceptions that need to take place in order to complete the account, I want to talk about actually going through with them. I'm not just going to go do it now. If I'm going to make these exceptions, then I feel I need to earn the right to do so. This means having the ability to return to Varlamore whenever I leave. Yeah, I know I could take the Charter or the Quetzal, but that doesn't feel in spirit to the run. No, I'll have to unlock the ability to teleport to Varlamore with a Civita Illofortis teleport. This requires 54 magic and the completion of the Twilight Promise quest. I am also barring the use of a dueling ring, as it's not a Varlamore specific teleport. So the first thing we will need to do is find a way to level our magic and unlock that teleport. We got something pretty important, this Blessed Bone Statuette. So, as per my previous restrictions that I just stated, if I want to complete some of these skills required for Perilous Moon, I need to be able to get some of these stats up in order to be able to come back on part of my restrictions. And one of those being prayer. I'm going to need overheads. If I want to train further combat stats and get to complete the quests required in order to unlock the teleport to leave and return to Varlamore, I need prayer up. The best way to do that in Varlamore is through their own prayer training. And you use these Blessed Bone Statuettes in order to break them down and get bone shards. With these bone shards, we're able to actually get some massive prayer training done. So that's honestly one of the biggest goals for doing this, on top of the fact that it's money, which we have more than enough, but it's these right here that we're going for. That's going to be the best way of training prayer in Varlamore. Also, I actually am going to use this lamp right now. I mean, there's no real reason to hold on to him. I'll be throwing it in Slayer and start that training. There's no real reason to hold on to him. I'm not going to be able to stack it with the highest level possible on Slayer. So normally on an Iron Man or Ultimate Iron Man, or just in general on main accounts too, if you have them, you kind of want to wait to use your lamps until you have a higher level where it kind of gets a bit more tedious to train it, because as your levels increase, you get more XP drops from lamps. However, since there is no actual way to train Slayer, at the moment, we're just going to drop them in there because it's going to take up inventory space otherwise. So I ended up getting another statue. Every statue we get is a blessing. Like, we need these as much as possible. Like, the jewelry is great and all, but we really have no use for them at the moment. We don't have the magic level to enchant any of them, and even if we could, I don't feel like any enchantments are going to be worth it. Especially you can't enchant gold ring or amulet, so there's no point of it. Sapphire necklace is there's no point for a games necklace. We don't need it. So we only really want these. So every time we get them, it's just butter. I love it. I love seeing them. All right, so I actually got a full inventory of these Blessed Bone statues. What makes these so good, especially on an Ultimate Iron Man, is the fact that you can just chisel them down and get these bone shards. And these bone shards take up one inventory spot, but they are insane prayer XP. So I can just hold on to them for a while. Oh, I got crafting level from it too. So I can just hold on to them for quite a while. And you get a good amount from thieving. And this is what we're going to use to get our prayer levels up. We need to get at least 43 prayer before we can start any other grind. Because that's essential. Overheads are essential for the game. Nice. So we just finished up our keys, and we ended that grind with 5,500 bone shards and about 14,000 valuables. So these bone shards are just not enough to get us to 43 prayer from where we need to be, but that's okay. We have other methods in the future to subsidize that, so I'm not too worried about it. But we do get to do something about these valuables that we have. So all we have to do is go over to this guy, and then we just turn them into him. Yeah, look at that, 14,232. So we're just going to go ahead and turn all of these in, and we'll see what you get. Ooh, 782K. That's so good. See, that's more money than we're currently going to need on this account, but for a mid-level thieving activity, that's really not bad at all. The most important thing would be to get 43 prayer. We could use these 5,000 bone shards. However, there is a slight issue with that, is that we can't actually train with bone shards until level 30 prayer. So our biggest goal right now would be to get our level 2 prayer all the way up to level 30. And in the meantime, also train our combat stats. We're going to come in here. We're actually going to talk to this blacksmith. I think we're just going to buy some steel armor. Since we just have so much GP, there's no reason not to. So we're just going to go ahead and buy some steel armor. So I'm hoping that if I drop that, sorry, it's a little off topic. I got this in a random event, a zombie or a Leo random event. I'm hoping that if I drop it, it still won't it'll still count towards our lamping, because how it works is that if you complete the collection log within a random event that has them, you get lamps. And of course, as I stated earlier, we need lamps for Slayer. But I'm hoping that if I drop that, I will still get a lamp and not just another shirt. I think you do. I think as long as you have the collection log complete, you get both. You will get like a new item if you no longer have it, but you will also get the lamp. So hopefully that is the case. Real quick, we're actually going to go ahead and charter over here to Alderaan, because there is a shield shop down here at Misrock, which we can just get our best in slot shield at the moment. We can use steel, which is why I equipped some steel armor, because right now our base 10 level stats only allow us to use steel. However, once we get to 30, we will have our at the moment best in slot gear, which is adamant armor. Yeah, I'm looking pretty good. Actually, wait, hold on. There is one more option I have available to us. If there's a shop here. There isn't, but that's okay. We'll have to head back to Civitetlo Fortes. I should have done it before, but I didn't think about it. But there is one more piece of equipment that we can access. All right, so we made it over here to Floria's clothing shop here in Civitetlo Fortes. And we're just going to trade her. She actually sells leather gloves and boots, which do give a defensive bonus, no matter how small they are. It is something that is useful. So it's going to be our best in slot at the moment. There's no better boots that we can get right now, or if ever. I don't think there actually is any boots that are obtainable within this region that are better than leather boots. I think this would be our best in slot. Now, don't quote me on that. I'm sure there's something I might find out later on, but at the moment, this is it. But while we're here, I think maybe we also might pick up a cape. We got 4 options. Which one should we choose? You see, green is my favorite color. But I don't think green really fits the vibe, you know? I'm really thinking yellow, you know? Because, I mean, look at it. It's all yellow. You got the Savanna here. It really just kind of matches the theming of the account. I think it's gonna go good with my hair. Yeah, I think yellow is the play here. You know what? That looks pretty. That looks slick. I'm liking that. I'm liking that cape. All right, we got first cape on the account. The cape has no defensive bonuses at all. Actually, in fact, yeah. See, these only have a 1+1 in each, and this is +1/+2. So it's nothing crazy. It's really, really minor, but it is just that little tiny added bonus that could be useful. So I came to the bar one more time to buy up some pies. I'm sure it's not gonna be the last time I'm gonna need to get a food refill. But for now, I mean, while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and pick them up. Let's talk about what the plan is. So, as the intro suggested, we need 54 magic. 54 magic is important because that gives us a Civitetlo Fortes teleport, which is the requirement that we set ourselves in order to break our restrictions and complete these skilling requirements that this Perilous Moon quest requires. Now, the issue is there is no magic shop available to us right now. The only one that is available is in Camtorum, but we can't access that at the moment. Let's wait for this. Let's let this fully recharge while we talk. But we can't access that at the moment. So what do? Well, I was doing a little research and I found a pretty interesting NPC available to us in Varlamore. The NPCs are right here. They are bandits. If we take a look at these bandits, they actually have a really interesting drop table. Bandits have a 1 in 25 chance to drop air, water, and chaos runes at 8 apiece, excluding chaos, which drops 6 respectively. Now, if we are to get 54 magic, we will need a total of roughly 22,000 air runes and 11,000 chaos runes. And at 8 runes per drop every 25 kills on average, we are looking to close to having to kill roughly 70,000 bandits. In the next video, that is what we're going to do. We're going to single-handedly rid Varlamore of its bandit problem.